Greetings, divine, blessed loved ones. Welcome to this all levels yoga practice today. Please find a comfortable, quiet space in your home, inside or outside, where you will not be disturbed. You'll need your mat, a blanket, and if you have a yoga block, that's great. If not, you can practice without one today, but I always recommend having one. So taking a moment to get settled into your space, we'll find a comfortable seat on the mat. And it's nice to sit up on a cushion or a folded blanket. I'm going to fold my blanket again and sit up onto that to give myself a little bit more height. And I'm just rolling my pelvic bowl forward and sitting with the blanket directly underneath the base of my spine. So settling in here, bringing the spine nice and long and tall, feeling into the hips and the knees, the spaces on the mat where your body meets the earth. Having the hips elevated just a little bit will help us to keep that spine nice and long. And we do want the hips to be just a little bit above the knees if possible. If this position isn't comfortable for you and you have a block, you can also sit up onto the block with the knees bent like this. If at any time during our practice today you experience pain, please modify. I am just the guide. Your body is its own best teacher and it will tell you what it needs. So finding a tall spine any way that's comfortable for you. And imagining that there's a string attached to the crown of your head and someone is pulling you up toward the heavens by the string. You can inhale, roll the shoulders up toward the ears, and exhale, rolling them down the spine to open the chest, shining the heart forward through the shoulders. Again, inhale, drawing the shoulders up to the ears, holding at the top for a moment. And then exhale, rolling the shoulders down the spine, almost as if you're trying to touch them together behind your back. And one more inhale, rolling up to the ears, holding at the top. And exhale, releasing, rolling the shoulders open, gently looking up toward the sky. Breathing into the opening in the heart here. Each inhale shines heart open a little more. Exhale to roll shoulders back and down a little more, engaging in the belly muscles here. Bringing more conscious awareness to the breath. Inhaling to expand the belly, expand the chest, full expansion of the lungs as you bring air all the way in. And exhaling, expelling all the air out now. Belly draws to spine, navel to spine, completely emptying out. Continuing, inhale, belly opens up like a balloon, chest opening, fully drawing the air in, holding at the top. See if you can sip in just one little bit more breath. And exhaling slowly with control, gently, smoothly expelling all of the air out. Drawing navel to spine as you empty. Continuing this with your own pace. Really grounding into the hips here, feeling where your hips meet the earth. Gently pressing the knees down into the mat. Full body engagement here. The pose appears very passive, but actually you can engage every muscle in your body just gently. Just bringing awareness into all parts of the body as you breathe. And we'll engage Ujjayi breath, ocean sounding breath, inhaling as if you're breathing through a straw, but you're breathing through your nose. Slight constriction is in the back of the throat to create a sound. And exhaling as if fogging up a mirror, but exhaling through your nose, same way. Slight constriction in the back of the throat, creating the sound of the ocean waves. Gently engaging the inner muscle lining in the core of the body, gently heating with the breath. The breath is the foundation of our practice today. If at any time, in any pose, you lose connection to the breath, please come into a resting position or modify and reconnect to the breath. Bringing hands to heart center, we'll inhale deeply and exhale to create the sound of Om. Eyes closed here, taking a moment to set an intention for your practice today. Could be as simple as, I am grateful. I am grateful. I am grateful. Inhaling, sweeping the arms up and overhead, gently looking up at the hands if that's comfortable on your neck, and then exhaling, stretching the arms down to the mat, looking down. Continuing this breath with your own pace and your own movement. Imagine someone has a hold of your wrist and is pulling your wrists out and away from your torso, really grounding into the hips and into the base of the body, engaging belly muscles here, navel to spine as you move the arms. Again, full body engagement here. Bringing awareness into all parts of the body. And keeping awareness on the breath. Inhaling to reach up, look up. Exhaling, reaching down, looking down. One more. And then inhaling, arms out in front of you strongly, reaching the fingertips forward, and then plug the shoulders down into the back, reaching through all of the fingertips, thumbs pointing out toward the sky. And then interlace the hands out in front of you, flip the palms so that they're facing away from you, and then keeping the shoulders plugged into the shoulder sockets, keeping belly engaged, we'll inhale, reach the arms up, gently following the hands with the gaze. Exhaling brings the hands down. Breathing into the range of motion in the shoulders here, continuing with your breath. Inhaling to look up, exhaling to look down. Take notice of the spine here. We want the spine to stay flat and strong, so the movement is coming from the shoulders and not from the back. Keeping that ocean sounding breath, constriction in the back of the throat to heat the body gently. Really pushing the palms out and away from you, engaging full length of the arms, pulling the fingertips back toward your face. And exhaling all the way down, releasing hands to the knees. We'll inhale, spine tall again. Start to draw circles on the wall in front of you with your nose. The circles can be as big or small as you like, but just be careful that we're not crunching the neck back here, but rather just gently lubricating the joint, the ball joint where the base of the skull meets the neck. And reverse your circle. Breathing into any tightness. And returning to center. We'll inhale over the left shoulder, bringing the chin over the left shoulder. Exhale back to center. Inhale, now bringing the chin over the right shoulder. Exhale back to center, continuing with your own breath. Again, gentle lubrication of the neck joints here. On each exhale, see if you can look just a little bit farther over whichever shoulder. And make this movement as smooth and fluid as you can, almost until there's no separation between your inhales and exhales. Breath, in-breath flowing into out-breath, out-breath flowing into in-breath. And next exhale, we'll meet at the center. Inhale, arms reach up again. Exhale, flowing over to the right side. The right fingertips can come down to the mat. Walk them out away from you and start to work that forearm down toward the mat, keeping the spine long and straight. We're working on spinning our chest up toward the ceiling. Chest and shoulders spinning open as you look up to that left hand, as long as it's comfortable on your neck. If this is causing any pain in the neck, please just look down on the floor, keeping the neck long. Neck is an extension of the spine. Breathing into the stretch in the side body here. Start to work the left arm over to the right, opening up here a little bit more in the left armpit region. Grounding strongly into both hips. Notice if one hip is wanting to pop up off the mat and plant it back down. And inhale, arms reach back up, looking gently up. Exhale, other side. So tenting the fingertips, walking them out and away from you, keeping the spine long, flowing the chest and shoulders open toward the ceiling. If you'd like, you can start to work that left forearm down toward the mat, but just keep your awareness on the right hip. If there's a tendency to pop up off of the mat here, we want to press that right hip down. And breathing into the opening in the right side body now, bringing that right arm up and overhead a little bit more. Enjoying the stretch in the armpit region on the right side. One more big inhale and exhale, and then inhale, coming back up. Exhale, other side again, leaning over to the right, tenting the fingertips or working the forearm down, opening the chest up toward the sky. And now planting that left hip down, we'll start to take circles with the left arm, big circles or small circles. Listen to your body and reverse the direction of your circle, finding the full range of motion here in the left shoulder and breathing. Finding organic movement here, flowing back and forth, whatever feels good in your body today. There might be some spots that are feeling extra tender or sore. You can pause there, breathe into the area, all the while keeping the breath nice and deep. And inhaling back up to center, exhaling over to the left once more, planting that right hip down. We'll start to take circles with the right arm. Big or small circles, doesn't matter. You can bend that elbow as needed, finding the full range of motion in the right shoulder. Reverse the direction of your circle. Breathing here into the neck and shoulder. And inhale, arms reaching. Exhale, hands down to the heart center. We'll open up our arms, bringing our hands into Yan Mudra. That is with the index finger connected to the thumb. And the three other fingers are extended up toward the ceiling. Engaging belly muscles here, pressing down through the hips. Coming up tall, again imagining that string attached to the crown of your head, pulling you up. And heart shining through the shoulders here. So full body engagement in what appears to be a passive pose is actually quite active. So we'll inhale center and exhale, twisting from the navel, from the belly, over to the left side. And exhale back to center. Inhale to the right side, twisting from the belly. Exhale center. Inhale, twisting left. Exhaling, center. Inhale, twisting right. Exhale, back to center. Continuing this with your own breath on each twist. See if you can move just a little bit farther. Keeping the hips planted so that the movement is truly coming from the center of the body. One more on each side. And coming back to center. And we'll make our way into a tabletop position here. So removing the blanket or anything that you may have been sitting on. And stacking shoulders over wrists, hips over knees, planting the tops of the feet down. We'll inhale, looking up, arching the back, shining heart through the shoulders for our cow pose. Exhale, pushing the mat away from you, rounding the belly in, rounding the forehead in toward the navel for our angry cat. And continuing this with your own breath flowing. Again, keeping the movements as smooth and fluid with the breath as you can, so much so that there's no pause in between inhales and exhales, no pause in between your cat and your cow. On the cat pose, really pushing that mat away from you, pressing the hands into the mat to pop the back of your chest, your upper back, up and away from the mat. And then on the cow pose, really using those arms to pull the heart through the shoulders. You can find organic movement here, making circles perhaps with the hips in one direction and the other. You can look back and forth over one shoulder and then the other, creating a C shape in the spine. Whatever feels good for your body today. And then coming back into tabletop, we'll curl the toes under and start to walk the weight of the body back onto the toes. This can be quite intense, so you're always welcome to just stay a little bit farther forward and breathe into the stretch in the soles of the feet here, or walk back as much as you would like to, until we have the knees together, feet close together, and we're sitting up onto the feet. If you're sitting on the feet, tall spine here, belly engaged, shoulders can roll down and back, and perhaps finding a little bit of a sway. Noticing if all of your toes are engaged, you can use your hands to spread the toes out. And really breathe into the stretch in the toes and the soles of the feet here. Can bring a smile to the face, enjoying this. Finding serenity in the chaos. And then pressing our fingertips into the mat, we'll start to work toward a bit of a squat here. And I like to start off my squat by just moving back and forth gently, stretching out the calves and the ankles. Just bringing movement and fresh prana into the ankles and the legs. And then bringing the feet a little bit wider. We want the toes to be tracking over, the knees to be tracking over the toes, bringing our hands into heart center, pushing the elbows into the knees. So engaging belly here, engaging pelvic floor muscles, knees pressing into elbows, elbows pressing into knees. If this is a little bit of a challenge for you today and you have a block, you can sit up onto the block here. If that's not possible for you, you can also just come into this kind of squat variation, not coming all the way down. And breathing here into the beautiful opening in the groin muscles. One more inhale. And we'll exhale, pushing up into a forward fold position. Feet come to parallel. And walking to the front of your mat. Forward fold. You can bend the knees generously here. Finding some swaying, organic movement in your forward fold, waking up the hamstrings and the low spine. You can release the crown of your head down to the mat, shaking the head yes and no. And then we'll inhale, come to a flat spine. Hands can come anywhere on the legs except for the knees, or if you have the flexibility, down to the mat. Or if you have a block, you can also use the block. One long line of energy here from the crown of the head out through the tailbone. And exhale, forward fold, bending knees again. Releasing. Inhale, rolling up vertebrae by vertebrae. And we'll come into our mountain pose, Tadasana here. So take a look down at your feet. We want them to be hips width apart. Lift up the toes and spread them, then set them back down. And then finding a little bit of a swaying circle motion here, we're exploring where our center of gravity is. So just noticing, and reverse your circle if you haven't yet. Just noticing what it feels like to find that center point, the center of balance within your body, and bringing the weight into that point. So now we're stacking our hips directly over our ankles, micro bend in the knees, engaging belly, shoulders are stacked over the hips, rolling the shoulders down and back away from you, thumbs facing behind you. So external rotation of the arms, gently engaging the legs and belly. And again, imagining that string attached to the crown of the head, pulling us up, really zipping up through the midline of the body, engaging the belly here. So this is our mountain pose, the foundation of our Surya Namaskar, sun salutations. If I were to come and press on your chest, you wouldn't fall over because you're strong like the mountain. Closing the eyes, breathing here for a moment. Think of 3 things that make you super happy. And then I'll meet you at the top of the mat and we'll begin our Surya Namaskar, sun salutation. So from mountain pose, inhale, reaching arms up, looking up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold, rounding down, bending the knees deeply here. Inhale, halfway lift, flat spine, shoulders come into that flat spine. So we're not allowing the shoulders to slouch forward, but rather rolling them, plugging them back down into the spine. And again, hands can come anywhere on the legs except for the knees. Exhale, forward fold again, plant the hands here and step back into your plank position. So in plank, shoulders are stacked over the wrists. One long line of energy shines out from the crown of the head through the heels. So notice where your hips are. They might be sagging, or there could be a tendency to lift them up. We want to bring them into alignment with the rest of the body so that you're stiff like a plank. And engaging core muscles here, belly draws to spine to keep you strong. Breathing deeply here, connecting with that ujjayi breath. For our first round, we'll lower the knees. Chaturanga to bend the elbows here. Knees, chest, and chin come to the mat. Hips can stay up. And then inhaling, swooshing forward into our cobra pose here. Elbows tucked in next to the ribs. And then exhale, toes curl under again. Hips lift for our downward facing dog. Walking out the dog, bending one knee deeply and then the other. Enjoying your deep ujjayi breath here. Again, waking up the back of the legs, the entire back of the body. Pressing the fingers into the mat so much that your upper mid back starts to press inward toward your hips.
Imagine someone now has a string attached to your tailbone, your sacrum right here, and is pulling you up to the sky. Belly draws in, relaxing the crown of the head down to the mat. Can shake the head yes and no, releasing the neck. And breathe. Again, if at any point this is a little bit too intense, you can take a resting pose. So just to know what that looks like, let's bend our knees, bring the knees wide, bringing big toes together to touch, and then coming down into a child's pose here. So in child's pose, resting the forehead down onto the mat and surrendering the full weight of the body down onto the floor. Breathing here for just a moment in child's pose. Looking forward, we can walk one hand and then the other toward the top of the mat, almost like you're a little kitty cat, just pulling that sticky mat back toward your body and breathing into the stretch in each armpit as you move. So child's pose is your resting pose. If you need to come into this shape at any time, you're welcome to do so. Otherwise, push back into your downward facing dog and we'll continue to flow through our sun salutations. So inhaling, exhale, bend the knees, look forward in down dog, and then stepping feet up to meet the hands. Inhale, halfway lift, flat spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rolling up vertebrae by vertebrae, engaging the belly, shoulders roll back, looking up. Inhale, arms reach. Exhale, hands to heart center, Samastitihi. So that is our modified version of our sun salutation. Again, we'll inhale, arms reach. Exhale, forward fold, bending knees deeply as needed, forehead to the knees. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, planting the hands, stepping back to plank. Holding here for a moment in plank. Can always bring the knees down as needed. Shoulders over the wrist, engaging belly muscles here. One long flat line of the body. And bring the knees down for knees, chest, and chin, or bend the elbows, draw them back in toward the body for Chaturanga, coming halfway down. Inhale, coming forward into upward facing dog, or if you are in modified, you're coming into your cobra pose. Looking up to the sky as is comfortable, and exhaling, drawing belly muscles in and up to come into your downward facing dog. Walking out the dog here again. Finding organic movement, perhaps swaying the hips back and forth, really breathing into those hamstrings, into the low back. Notice where your hands are. We want them to be about shoulders width distance, really pressing into that L shape, the index finger and thumb, as you push your hips up to the sky. One more inhale here. Exhale, bend the knees deeply, look at the hands, step the feet up to meet the hands. Inhale, half lift, flat spine. Exhale, forward fold. Crown of the head drawing down to the mat. Inhale, half lift, all the way up. Inhale, arms reach up, and exhale, hands to heart center. Engaging belly muscles here, drawing the navel towards spine on the exhale. Inhale, arms reach up, look up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, planting the hands. Exhale, forward fold, stepping back into plank. Knees, chest, chin, or Chaturanga. Upward facing dog or cobra. And we'll all meet in downward facing dog. Breathing deeply here in dog. Inhale and exhale, bending the knees, look at the hands, stepping feet up to meet the hands. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold, crown of the head releasing down. Inhale, rolling up vertebrae by vertebrae, shoulders roll open. Inhale, arms reaching up to the sky. Exhale, hands down to the heart. Engaging belly muscles here.
Pausing for a moment in your Tadasana. And then we'll this time inhale, bending the knees deeply, sitting back into the heels, bringing the arms up alongside the ears. So we're engaging belly muscles strongly. Notice if that tailbone is wanting to pop up, we want to tuck it in and under. If you have a block, you can hold it in between your knees. Otherwise, just energetically drawing the knees together so the knees are not splaying open, but rather zipping up through the midline of the body. And noticing where the arms are, there could be a tendency to come down too far or back too far, but we want to just bring those shoulders, plug them down into the back, and bring the upper arm bones alongside the ears. One more inhale here. And exhale, dump it out, forward fold. Releasing crown of the head to the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, flat spine. Exhale, forward fold, plant the hands and step back into your plank. Now this time in plank, we'll bring the right hand into the center of the mat, coming onto the knife edge side of the right toes. If you'd like to modify, you can bring that right knee down to the mat, and we're coming into a side plank here. So in side plank, shoulders are stacked on top of each other, arm bones stacked, reaching up to the sky with that left arm. If you're not modifying, really push those hips up toward the sky, feeling the strong line of energy in the right side body here. One more inhale. And exhale, coming back to the mat, back to plank position. Same thing, other side. I'll turn around to face you. So bringing the left hand into the center of the mat, coming onto the left knife edge of the left foot and stacking the feet. Really pushing those hips up towards the ceiling. Again, if you want to modify, you can bring that left knee down to the mat. Stacking shoulders, breathing here. One more inhale. And exhale, bringing the hands back to the mat, back to your plank position. Flow through Chaturanga, knees, chest, chin. Cobra, upward facing dog. And downward facing dog. Breathing here for a moment. You can come to child's pose if you'd like. Resting it out in dog. Coming back to the breath. Shaking the head, releasing the neck. And then if you were in child's pose, coming back to downward facing dog, we'll lift the right leg up to the sky, three-legged dog. Inhale, exhale, drawing the knee into the chest and gently stepping it through the feet. If it doesn't make it, you can grab it with your hand and step it through the hands. Sorry, not the feet. And then bringing that left knee down to the mat, we'll energetically draw the thigh bones together as we lift the arms up. Navel to spine, engaging belly. Engaging both the legs strongly here. Arms reaching up. Ujjayi breath. Strong. And then we'll bring the arms out to a T alongside our body, and we'll start to rotate. First inhale, spine coming long. Exhale, rotating open to the right side of the mat. So finding a twist here. Notice where your hips are. We want to keep the hips in line, so the right hip might want to come back a little bit here, but we want to keep them both in alignment with the front part of the mat so that the twist is coming from our belly. Reaching out strong through the arms here. And breathing. And then we'll inhale, reaching forward with the left hand. Set that hand down onto the mat next to the right foot and twisting this way, bringing the right hand up and overhead. And taking a look at that right hand if it's comfortable on your neck. Stay here, or if you'd like to have a stretch in your left thigh, we can pop that left foot up off the mat and start to reach back to grab the left toes, engaging the left thigh muscles as we stretch. Opening that right shoulder up toward the ceiling. Twisting the chest open toward the ceiling and breathing into the the left thigh. One more inhale. Exhale slowly with control, releasing, unwinding, stepping back into our downward facing dog. Inhale lifts the left leg now for three-legged dog, keeping the hips level here. And exhale, drawing that left knee into the chest, stepping it through the hands. If you can't step it, you can grab with your hand and pull the foot through. We'll gently let that right knee down to the mat, energetically drawing thigh bones together as we zip up through the midline to lift the arms. Engaging all the muscles in the legs, noticing where that tailbone is. If it's popping out, we want to tuck it under, zipping up through the midline of the body. And then I'll turn to face you again. So from here, we'll bring the arms out alongside the body to a T. And then twisting from the navel, from the belly center, we'll start to bring the left arm back behind us, right arm out in front of us. Notice where the hips are. If the left hip wants to come back, we zip it forward so that both hips are facing the short edge of our mat in front of us. And opening out through the belly and the shoulders. Ujjayi breath engaged. One more inhale and exhale. And then inhale, reaching the right fingertips forward. Set the right fingers down next to the left foot. And reach that left arm up overhead. Taking a peek at the left hand if it's comfortable on your neck. Breathing here into this twist. Perhaps you'd like to stay here, or choosing to bring a stretch into the right thigh now. We'll lift those right toes up off the mat, reaching back the left hand. And engaging the thigh muscles here, engaging right quad as you stretch, breathing into that thigh. Again, checking in with the hips, keeping the hips level. If the left knee wants to splay out to the side, draw it back in, zip it in toward the midline. Opening up through that left shoulder. Finding a little smile, breathing into the chaos. One more inhale. Exhale to release and unravel, stepping back into downward facing dog. And then exhaling here, bending the knees deeply, stepping or jumping feet to meet the hands. Inhale, half lift, flat spine. Exhale, forward fold, knees to forehead to knees. Inhale, rolling up vertebrae by vertebrae, rolling the shoulders down the back, opening arms. Breathing here for a moment into Tadasana. And then we'll do some balance poses here. So you can always do any balance pose on the wall. Just go to any blank wall nearby and press one hand into it to help you balance. So planting down into Tadasana, finding our stable position here again with the feet hips width apart, all the joints stacked from feet to head, engaging belly muscles here. And then we'll bend the knees deeply, coming into a chair pose here. Sitting back into the heels so much that your toes start to pop up off of the mat. And then setting the toes back down. We'll bring the weight into the left foot. And the right foot starts to come up off the mat. Maybe this is enough today, or maybe you'd like to wrap that right arm around, or right leg around the left leg, using the right foot as a kickstand, or wrapping all the way around. Find a drishti, a focal point on the floor or wall in front of you to help you balance. And again, drawing navel to spine. Breathing deep Ujjayi breath. Again, you can do this on the wall, just pressing both hands or one hand into the wall. And breathing. One more inhale. And exhale, unraveling, standing up, hands to hips. Can shake out that left leg. And then planting it back down, coming back to Tadasana. Exhale. Inhale, chair position, arms alongside the ears. Sitting down and back into chair. Bringing the weight into the right side of the body. Maybe that left toe just starts to come off the mat, and maybe this is enough for you today. Maybe you're wrapping that left foot around, using it as a kickstand, or maybe you're wrapping it all the way around the right leg. Arms extending. Find your drishti, your focal point on the floor or wall in front of you. Engaging belly to balance. One more inhale. And exhale, unraveling hands to hips. We can shake out that right leg. Whew, good work. Coming back to the top of the mat. Final sun salutation. So we'll inhale, arms reach up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat spine. Exhale, stepping back to plank position. Make it a strong one, your last vinyasa. Knees, chest, and chin, or Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Really using the core muscles to pull you back when you make that transition into down dog. You can also come into child's pose here if you're ready. Otherwise, hang out with me here for a few breaths in down dog. Shaking the head yes and no, releasing the neck. And then bending the knees deeply, look at the hands, step the feet to meet the hands, or jump to gently land into a seated position. And bringing the legs out long in front of you. Moving from side to side, you can use your hands to move the flesh out from underneath your tailbone. Sitting up nice and tall, toes flexed back toward the face. Imagining that string pulling you up toward the sky. Engaging belly muscles here. So if it's difficult to do this without the arms, you can press the arms into the mat to keep the spine nice and long. If you're finding that you're wanting to round or slouch forward, pressing the hands back into the mat just a little bit behind your hips. And using the strength of the arms to keep the spine long. It does take quite a bit of core strength to be able to keep your spine flat as you're sitting here in this position. Just doing this took me years to develop the strength, actually. When I first started doing yoga, it was very difficult for me. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, forward fold, bending the knees slightly here. You can put your hands anywhere on the legs, on the mat, alongside your feet, or if you're able to, grab your feet. Here we're aiming belly to the toes, forehead to the toes. So instead of thinking forehead to knees and chest to thighs, we want to think long, strong spine. Drawing the heart through the shoulders always. Breathing here, continuing to flex the toes back toward the face. Keeping the legs engaged as you stretch. And breathing deeply. One more exhale. Inhale, arms reach. Planting the hands now strongly into the mat just behind your hips. We'll bend the knees and windshield wiper the legs back and forth. Just releasing the legs and the hips. Keeping the breath deep to allow fresh blood and oxygen to come into the hip region. And then exhaling, we'll make our way back into the seated position. Reaching our arms up, inhale, exhale, forward fold, micro bend in the knees. Keeping the arms strong and long, using the strength of the arms wherever you are to pull your low spine forward. So navel to spine, and think of bringing your low back forward toward your knees. Imagine shining your heart toward your toes. Breathing deeply. You are loved, you are beautiful, you are enough in this moment. And then inhaling back up to plant the hands behind you. We'll bend the knees once more, and then exhale here. Inhale, lifting strongly, lifting the hips up toward the sky, looking at your knees, or if you have the neck strength, to slowly lower the neck back behind you, slowly and gently. We don't want the neck to flop back. Pressing into the hands and feet firmly. Imagine that you are holding a block or a tennis ball in between your knees, so the thighs aren't splaying outward here, but again zipping up through that midline. Engaging belly, pushing strongly into the hands so that the chest is reaching for the sky. Inhale, and exhale, slowly lowering the hips, bringing the head back up gently, and extending the legs out in front of us. One last time, inhale, arms reach, and exhale, forward folding here. Seated forward fold, flat spine. Breathing into the hamstrings. The more you bend your knees, the more the low back can release here. For me, I've always been really tight in my hamstrings, and I found that it is helpful to bend the knees for forward folding. That has actually helped me gain a lot of flexibility. I know some teachers recommend keeping the knees straight, but that's just personally what has helped me. So please do what is best for your body today. One more inhale, exhale, spine comes a little bit longer, releasing, surrendering a little bit more into the pose. And then we'll inhale, arms reach up again, planting the fingertips back behind you. And if this is uncomfortable to have your fingers facing your hips, you can also have them pointed out to the sides or even back and away from you. As you bend your knees, exhale, and inhale to lift the hips up again, releasing that head back if you have the strength to do it with control, slowly and smoothly. Really pressing the hips up to the sky, opening the shoulders and the chest. You can stay here or extend those legs long, pressing into the feet, firmly planting the feet into the mat as you keep the legs straight and strong and continue to lift the hips up to the sky. Breathing into your heart center. One more inhale. And exhale, slowly lowering the hips, looking forward with control. Planting the hands alongside the hips again, bending the knees to windshield wiper the legs back and forth, releasing low back, releasing hips. Great work. Almost done. And then sitting up nice and tall again. We can keep that left leg extended out and strong, left toes flexing back toward the face, and grab your right foot with your hands. Maybe you'd like to stay here, just feeling the stretch into the outer right hip, or perhaps you'd like to cradle that right calf like a baby. So in the crook of both of your arms here, keeping the spine strong, tall, and flat. So notice if you're tending to round forward here, we want to zip that low back in and up. Moving the shoulders down the spine as you find a gentle sway, opening up more deeply through the right hip. Breathing always. One more inhale, and exhale, releasing that foot back down to the mat. Same thing other side. So now keeping the right leg long and strong, flexing right toes toward the face. We'll grab the left foot. Maybe you'd like to stay here, enjoying the stretch in the outer left hip. Or maybe you'd like to take that left shin like a forklift and cradle it in your elbows, finding a swaying here. Loving your body as if it were a small child, because we all do have that inner child that lives inside of us that just wants to be nurtured. Breathing, keeping spine long, noticing if you're rounding in, we want to draw the heart through the shoulders and up. One more inhale, and then exhale, releasing. Leg out long, bending the knees here and coming into laying down onto the mat. You can bend the knees, bringing the heels in close to the buttocks, pressing the full length of the arms down into the mat. And we'll exhale here, and then inhale, lifting just the hips up off the mat for a bridge. Pressing the back of the skull strongly into the mat, pressing the full length of the arms down into the mat, and breathing into the belly. Staying here, or interlace the hands underneath your body, rolling the shoulder blades underneath the spine. If you have the hands interlaced, notice if your wrists are splaying out. We want to draw the palms together, draw the wrists together, and strongly engage all of the hands, all of the arms to strengthen the wrists and push through the full length of the arms. Pushing through the heels up into the hips, pushing the hips up to the sky. One more inhale, and exhale, releasing, unraveling back down to the mat. Take a moment of resting here. And then we'll inhale, coming back up, lifting hips, interlacing the hands if that's comfortable. If you have a block and would like to take a supported bridge pose, you can bring that block on the lowest or the medium setting and just take and bring it right underneath your sacrum, the flat bone at the base of your spine, and just resting here. This is very nourishing and restorative pose. And it feels super good. One more inhale, exhale, releasing the hips back down to the mat and resting here. If you have a wheel pose in your practice, I'll cue for wheel pose. If you are not comfortable or do not want to practice wheel today, please just take another bridge or a supported bridge. So coming into wheel, if you would like, drawing those hips in close toward, drawing the heels in close toward the hips, bringing the fingertips up next to the ears with the fingers facing down to your feet, and then inhale, pressing to the crown of the head first, aligning the elbows and the wrists, and then pushing up strongly into your bridge pose, or into your wheel pose. In wheel, hips are pushing up to the sky, pushing strongly through the feet to open the shoulders. Heart is shining out through the shoulders. Notice if the knees are wanting to splay apart here, and draw them in toward the center.
Imagining again that you're holding a block or a tennis ball in between your knees here. Full body engagement. One more inhale. And exhale, bringing the head forward to look toward your chest as you slowly lower down with control back onto the mat. Great work. Taking a moment to breathe and rest. And we'll end our practice with one final twist. So inhaling, shifting the hips over just a few inches to the right side. And then we'll take that right leg over the left leg and bring both legs down to the left. Arms can come out alongside you or to goalpost arms. Taking care to keep that right shoulder pressed down into the mat. There's a tendency for it to want to pop up, but press it down into the mat and only let your legs come over as far as they can while keeping that right shoulder down onto the mat. Look over your right shoulder if that's comfortable on your neck. Breathing into the belly here. And inhaling back to center, unraveling the legs, bringing the hips a few inches over to the left now, wrapping that left leg around the right and bringing both legs over to the right. Again, only letting the knees come down as far as is possible while keeping the left shoulder firmly planted onto the mat. So notice if that left shoulder wants to come up off the mat. And then looking over to the left if it's comfortable on your neck. Breathing. Inhale, coming back to center, unraveling, and hugging the knees into the chest, thanking yourself for such a wonderful job. Well done today. You can grab the knees with the hands and draw big circles with the knees, opening out in one direction, breathing into this gentle stretch in the groin, and reverse the direction of your circles. And then hugging the knees in once more. We'll exhale, extend the legs out long, letting the feet flop open, arms flop open for Shavasana, final resting pose. Please stay for these few moments in Shavasana. It is the most important pose in our yoga practice. Taking a big inhale and exhaling, stick out the tongue, releasing any tension, closing the eyes as you melt into the floor. Again, inhale, full expansion of the belly. Exhale, stick out the tongue, really releasing. Once more, inhale, and exhale, as you fully melt and release into the mat. Relax in your Shavasana. I'm just going to read a prayer to end out our practice. Om Dya Shantirantariksham Shantihi Prithvi Shantirapaha Shantiro Shadayaha Shantihi Vanaspatayaha Shantir Vishve Devaha Shanti Brahma Shantihi Sarvam Shantihi Shantireva Shantihi Sama Shantiredhi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May there be peace in heaven and peace in the sky. May there be peace on earth and peace in the water. May there be peace in the plants and peace in the trees. May there be peace in the gods and peace in nature. May there be peace in all, and may that peace, real peace, be ours.
Om. Peace, peace, peace. Wiggling the fingers and the toes in Shavasana. Can roll onto one side using one arm as a pillow, drawing knees into the chest for a fetal position, resting in this womb space for just a moment more. You are loved because you are love itself. Feel Mother Earth holding you, supported by gravity. And know that in all things you are cared for. Gently rolling back up to a seated position, keeping the eyes closed. Bringing the hands to heart center. Taking a moment to thank yourself for showing up today, carving out this time to dedicate to yourself and your practice. And dedicating this feeling of peace and love and joy that we've cultivated today in our practice. Dedicating that, shining that energy out to all beings everywhere. Again, we'll end our practice by creating the eternal sound of Om. So full inhale and exhale to Om. Full inhale. Allowing the sound to vibrate out through your skull, keeping the eyes closed, observing the effects of your practice. Feel free to rest in meditation for as long as you would like. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. So much love.